Yeah, brilliant. I think let me just start with some housekeeping while some more people are still joining. So thank you so much for registering, for being here. If it's early for you, good morning. If it's the afternoon for you, good afternoon. Um, yes, so as you can see in the chat as well. So this will be a recorded webinar, but we will just send it out to all the registered participants afterwards, so you can listen back, or the people who might have missed it can kind of catch up on it. The chat is open for you, so if you would like to introduce yourself or have any reflections to share, please use that function. It would be lovely to hear your thoughts. Um, and we will hear presentations from our speakers first, and then hopefully we have about 20 minutes for a Q&A. I know we packed this hour full, so let's make sure that we have that time. So please, if you do have any questions, there is a Q&A function as well that is next to the chat function. It would be great if you could use it to kind of send us your questions to kind of go in deeper. And yeah, that's it. So let me just launch into it. So we use the time wisely. So this very much is a joint venture between Chord, between DPA and Impact. So, and you probably, if you're here, you have come across Chord before and our organization. As you know, we work in bringing peace building approach to human rights protection in Southeast Asia and East Africa. And with our Southeast Asia regional project Empower, which is featured here, we've recently come close and we've been reflecting on actually what is next. Following the recent needs assessment, we're kind of conveying in this webinar. We want to share some of the on-the-ground insights from our partners from years of implementing and spotlighting the experience of the women environmental defenders and exploring together how we can collectively strengthen the gender response and conflict-sensitive climate action in the region. So we do have some excellent speakers. The first one I would love to introduce is Carlos Gallardo, who is our regional representative at Court for Southeast Asia. And Carlos leads the regional program for Court and oversees our multi-country project focuses on human rights, environmental protection, and land rights in the region. He will give a brief update on the Empower project and share also some ideas on our current thinking. Our second speaker and me, can I ask you to quickly unmute yourself and wave so we can see you? So our second speaker is Minataya, who's the Executive Director of Intermountain People Education and Culture in Thailand Association. Quite a mouthful, better known as Impact. And Mi has long championed Indigenous people's rights in Thailand, working to strengthen cultural identity, protecting traditional knowledge, and securing Indigenous land rights. She will share how Indigenous women environmental defenders are advocating for their community rights. Our third speaker is Vouch Cheng. And Vouch Cheng, again, could you unmute yourself and just quickly wave so we see you? Is the Advocacy Officer at Development and Partnership and Action, better known as DPA, which is a leading Cambodian organization focusing on sustainable development and environmental governance. At DPA, she works closely with the private sector to design and implement advocacy projects that promote responsible business conduct, protect community rights, and addresses environmental impact. They work especially with extractive industry sector. So Boncheng will give us some insights into working with women environmental defenders in Cambodia. Last but not least, we also have Jude Thompson-Black, who leads the Program Development and Peacebuilding Support Unit at Court. She is based in the UK, and Jude has a strong experience working on peacebuilding initiatives in Southeast Asia, particularly on supporting inclusive and conflict-sensitive approaches. And Jude will update us on the recent needs assessment and share some recommendation for us to consider further. That is me speaking a lot. So let's dive into it and let me pass on to Carlos.
Yeah. Thank you, Marika. And I think you forgot to introduce yourself.
Oh,
Marika
I'm
is
so
our program
sorry.
quality lead at Cord UK. But thank you. Thank you so much, Marika,
Thanks, Carlos.
for your time. And lovely to see you all, and lovely, and thank you all so much for your time today to discuss an important matter about conflict, gender, and climate nexus. Uh, Maybe let me start my discussion with sharing with you some of one photo that I like most. It's not because how it looks, but because of what it represents and the story that it tells. I always use this photo during my discussions with some development partners and some partners who worked with us on the Spirit project that implemented before. Maybe you had a chance also to go to see this location in northern Cambodia. So it's a very simple photo which shows a woman environmental defenders from northern Cambodia standing on one of the hundreds of holes dug for mining exploration. At first glance, it looks very simple and a very small issue. But looking at closely, these holes were dug on indigenous farmland, disrupting their livelihoods. And also a part of the area was forest, and at the same time, some of the areas as well where they practice spiritual belief as indigenous people. It created a lot of conflict between local communities and private companies who is responsible for the mining exploration after they have not found any minerals in that area. They left the holes unfilled. So as a result of that, there's a lot of conflict between the community and the private companies, and eventually also had a tension between authorities and the local communities because the government at that time weren't able to take the company accountable in terms of their mining exploration activities. Women, on the other hand, were disproportionately affected. They have lost access to timber forest products, for example, like wild mushroom and bamboo shoots, for example, in that area. They face accidents as well, especially when they're doing animal grazing. Sometimes as well, children playing near the pits had injuries, so more care burdens the women because they were taking good care of these children. And at the same time, women were not involved in negotiation and discussion with private companies and government, despite them being affected directly. I think for me, this really captured the essence of what we're here to discuss today. It reflects not only the lived realities and urgent challenges we aim to address together. Lucy, slide two, please. Let me share with you something about the climate, gender, and conflict nexus. I think the key message here is that climate change, gender inequality, and conflict are deeply interconnected. They form a mutually reinforcing system. Progress or setbacks in one of the areas often influence the others. An integrated approach to natural resource management is very crucial and essential. Let me give you some examples of what we've learned from Empower Project. Climate change deepens inequalities and drives conflict. In the Empower Project, which we implemented, we observed how climate change exacerbates existing vulnerabilities, particularly for those people with intersectional discrimination. In the case of Empower, we were working with indigenous people, they are women, and often in some countries where we work, they were also religious minorities. Just to give you a classic example, in Lamdong province, where we implemented the Empower project, women were facing increasing hardship as a result of climate change, and there was an increased commercial farming activities that contributed to reduce access to forests and water. And then they had competition to those natural resources. Now, when the women environmental defenders were speaking, they were often ignored or labeled disruptive, showing how climate change not only worsens inequality, but also fuel exclusion and tensions as well. Now, climate shocks or extreme weather events also strain governance system, disrupt services delivery, government delivery, and can contribute to rising tensions between people and the government itself. Now, moving to the other bubble, I could say, or the other area in terms of gender inequality, women, particularly in this topic, gender inequality also reduces climate resilience. There's a growing research actually all over the world that we've seen that countries with lower levels of gender equality are often the less resilient to climate impacts. Now, for example, again, for this project, we've implemented a project in Laos. In one of the areas that we were working, women were not, at that time, were not involved in the village forestry land committees. And that VFLC that time were designing or planning a reforestation activity or conservation. And since women were not involved at the very start of those VFLCs, they were not able to practice their understanding on traditional knowledge, for example. And they planted trees, which did not survive because it was not suited for the local environment. So the reforestation initiative then failed. It shows this clearly without inclusive participation, climate responses may overlook critical local knowledge and needs. The last bubble I want to
Carlos,
discuss
you
is
have one
about
minute
conflict.
left.
Stops. Okay, conflict. Conflict has gendered impacts. It often leads to greater harm and exclusion for women and marginalized population. Sometimes it reinforces existing power imbalances. Now, for the specific case that I just shared earlier, in Cambodia, when there was land dispute between communities and companies, women are often sidelined or not involved at all from mediation efforts. Male leaders dominate negotiations, while women, despite being the primary users of the land and farming and food, have little to say. Their exclusion reinforces power imbalances and deepens inequality both during and after the conflict. Now, with our understanding and uh, we do building on the nexus of women and climate and conflict that I discussed. Cord has implemented a project. Lucy, next slide, please. We've implemented a project called Empower. I've been mentioning that several times, which is enabling and mobilizing the participation of women in environmental defense. So our vision is that women contribution to these courses on environmental rights is valued and encouraged. And our goal is to ensure that WEDs play an effective role in gender-sensitive environmental policies. And this project was supported by the US State Department and was implemented across 5 countries in Southeast Asia: Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam. And it's being implemented by consortium partners Impact from Thailand, DPA from Cambodia, Caritas Salat from Vietnam, and Cord for implementing our country offices in Laos and Myanmar. We work with over 500 environmental defenders. Of them, over 300 were women environmental defenders. And next slide, please. Sorry, Marika, maybe 1 minute more.
Okay, 1 minute.
So just very quickly, what the Empower project is. So basing on guided by the Women, Peace and Security agenda and the triple nexus of women, climate, and conflict, we've designed the Empower project around 3 major objectives, which is the capacity, building the capacity and confidence of women environmental defenders. We look at safety and security and building allies and participation. In terms of capacity and confidence, we did not look at only skills, but also we look at the barrier. We address the financial resilience of women environmental defenders because often This is the reason why women disengage from environmental defense project. Objective two, which is about safety and security, we only did not look at the safety and security of women environmental defenders and environmental defenders in general, about digital security, for example, risk assessment and physical security, but also we look at what are the things that we need to incorporate for the community managed environmental groups, for example, to change their practices in terms of safety and security of women environmental defenders. Some CMAGs that we've worked with, they adopted some policies, for example, on safeguarding, etc. So this is with the aim of changing the practices of the community-based organizations themselves. And also objective two, we did not only look at, again, safety and security in general, but also we provided a space, women-only safe space, so that they could process their trauma, particularly those women who have experienced gender-based violence, for example, while doing natural resource management work. And objective three, which is about building alliance and participation, we've focused not only on the building allies with men, but also ensuring that women, particularly involved in natural resource management discussions and the decision-making processes. Includes, for example, their participation in government meetings, environmental impact assessments, for example, and other things. I think I just want to focus also on building allies and participation is that we tried also to build that kind of network of environmental defenders across Southeast Asia in terms of getting connected, sharing that knowledge by having some regional learning exchanges as well. And at the center of all of that, as you all know, we've implemented a project in restrictive contexts where civic spaces is limited. Peace building approach is at the core of the Empower project, ensuring that our work is grounded in peace building effort at the same time human rights based approach. Next, and if you can see, those objectives fall into a specific women in peace security agenda, which is participation, protection, and prevention.
Great.
My last
Thank you,
slide
Carlos.
is very briefly, Marika. This is just a representation of the areas where we work as Empower Project. Sorry, Marika. Thank you. I'll turn over to you.
Okay. There's a lot to say, so I totally understand. Thank you so much, Carlos. And if there's more interest to kind of dig a little bit deeper, we can do that in the Q&A if there are questions. Okay. Without much ado, I'm passing over to me from Impact to take us through some of their findings.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mi, and I'm belonging to Hmong indigenous group from the northern part of Thailand. It's nearby the border of Laos. So what I'm going to present, it is about our community, our situation in Thailand, that this is where I come from. So actually, the community that I come from also facing the violation about the land and the natural resource issue. Our forest was concessioned by the government to the private sector, and like more than 40 years before. So until
Sorry to
our
interrupt me.
forest,
Could you make
yeah.
sure that your microphone is closer to your mouth?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Thank
Okay.
you.
So now we don't have our, like we spent almost 40 years to restore our forest area, and now we have a quite big forest. So yeah, quite happy now. But again, we are still facing another problem because the government come to announce the loss of the law and policy over our land and territories, and including try to build a small dam in our territories. So this is something that we facing and we fighting a lot. So the situation is not happen into only my community, but also to mostly in the indigenous community in Thailand. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so here I would like to show you that where indigenous we are living. So in the other in the map, you can see that different color is representing of different indigenous people who are living throughout the country. And in another map is showing about the green area. It is a forest area. These are our land, our home. So now in Thailand, we are together with around 45 indigenous group, and yeah, we identify ourselves indigenous people. But actually, the government, they are not happy for us to use, and they're not recognize the indigenous people. But actually, we are indigenous people, and we are around 4 million people, and yeah, 4,000 communities. So in with these 4,000 communities, you can see that around 8,000, more than 8,000 communities of our people that were declared to be the conservation area, protected area, like that. So it will be impact to more, almost 2 million indigenous individually, people who living in there, 3,000 communities there. So this happened, that the situation that we're facing in our communities now. So I will say that among more approximately about 2 million people that are living in the forest area there, 48% are women. Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so actually for the women, indigenous women, we also facing uh, uh, I would say that there are many situations they are facing now, not only confronting with government, but by within our community ourselves, there are many traditional, many norms, many how to say practice that are not allow women to do what to do this. This is something that make women not allowed to engage or involve in the consultation, even to just to sit in the meeting room. We are not allowed. So if we try to sit there, the people they will try, they are looked down as that you are the women who don't know anything. Why you come to sit here like that? So this is still happening in our indigenous community. So made us feel very how to say exclusive in the discussion or also in the decision making, and even some of the decision making is about women, but we are not allowed to involve in that discussion, especially in the activity about the conservation and about the land issue. So when we're talking about the land management, of course that we have spent a long time, more than 30 years, to fighting about the land rights issue, the rights to our natural resources. However, when we try to do, for example, to demarcate our land area, women are not there. But women who are the one who know where we collect the mushroom, where we collect the herbal medicine, which area we use for protection for something like that. But we are not include that in the demarcate of the land. When they decide to have some other regulation or the protocol in the community, women also not there. So when they're going to have some agreement, something that there will be impact to our women, to the girl, we are not excluded there. So this is something that happened to us and hurt us a lot. No? And yeah, so that's why we try to uh, encourage for the women in the very ground level, try to stand up, but it's not easy to work with the indigenous issue. We have to be very patient to work on that, because it is very challenging to talk about to conform with the norm or traditional that they have practicing for thousand years, and they pass to generation to generation. I have strong belief that women cannot do that. Women cannot say this thing like that. So it's hardly to change. So yeah, I really would like to encourage that when when people are working with the indigenous women issue, please be patient to work with us and go down to see what are the root problem that we facing. We confronting a lot about the cultural, the practice and the norm that not allow us to do. So we have to really go to the class that to do the assessment or do the art audit, that what are the root and how can we change or revise that thing. This is not easy. We have to take more than 40, 50 years to change but now we still doing now. Hopefully it can be changed in my generation or also in my children generation. Yeah, and actually for us to are able to stand in the front are very difficult. But however, this is something that we are confronting. So our indigenous people in Thailand, we try together. We spend almost like 20 years to get together as a network throughout the country. So in our country, we have more than 40 indigenous groups that come together, and we call our network as the Network of Indigenous People in Thailand. So in this network, we try to advocate about what are happening in the ground level and how to create a space to learn, to see what are happening in which area and how we can support each other. And then we made a decision that we should have a law to protect our rights. So that's why we draft bill uh, for protection our rights. We call uh, the draft bill on promotion and on protection and promotion the livelihood of ethnic people. Actually, we tried to use the indigenous people, but it was removed by the parliament just last 2 3 months that we spent to negotiate with the government. So now the draft already in the level in the last level. Hopefully, if nothing are changing, we can have a first bill talking about the rights of indigenous people there, and in the draft bill, there's one of the sector talking about the right to land and natural resources. This is the heart of our indigenous people because land is our heart, our life. So very important for us. So on this, we have tried to create a space for the indigenous women from different indigenous groups to stand up and represent different indigenous to indigenous group to be the representative of the draft and also to be the member of the council if we're going to have now we have the council of indigenous people. So at least we try to fight for have at least one woman to be represented in each individual indigenous group there. And now even we have a space for the women and the women are there, but it's not mean that we be successful because all the women, they may not know what they are sitting there, why we are here. Also, we just to fulfill the space or what like that. So this is the issue that we have to really go to work to do the capacity or to enhance the women or create a space for women to have a safe place for the women to talk,
Me,
to
you've
help
got
themselves.
1 minute left for you.
Okay, so please go to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah, actually, like I said that in Thailand, the government they have the problem about the definition of the indigenous people. So now it is still in the negotiation process. They're not use indigenous people, no? But we are indigenous people. Still fighting on that issue. And of course, that are still now the government, even they have a lot of law or policy on the talking about the protected area and also the conservation area. But just recently, just 2 3 months before, the government having a new law calling the royal decree on the in the protection area. So mostly of this area are indigenous people area. And you see, one of the statement in the law is saying that will allow us only 20 years living in our territories. And after 20 years, we have to ask for register again. And because they believe that in another 20 years, our young generation will not go back to stay in our territory. They will go to stay in the town. So yeah, just allow us only 20 years. This is very hard to us now to hear about that. And yeah, we still challenging on the human rights violation because like I myself, it is women environment defenders also, we also facing a lot of the violation when we call for our rights. So many of our leaders were persecuted and still in the cost level, and also some of the women leaders. Very sad on that. Still in the process that we are now working on that. Yeah, and we facing still facing a lot on the large development project that come to our areas. The dam, the mining still happening, and Yeah, even we are fighting a lot, but the private sector, they can, how to say, close the mouth or close the eyes of the government, so they cannot say like, no, this is very difficult and it's a big challenge for us. So the recommendation for ourselves, for our indigenous people is that, yeah, we have to really try to push for the government to issue the IP bill through, or yeah, through the IP bill. We believe that we can use this IP bill because the IP bill is not the answer, but we can use this to be one of the two to call for our rights, to protect our rights. And again, we also really want to review all the law and policy that impact to our life, and also, yeah, try to engage our indigenous women in different decision making level. And to do that, we also would like to go to support the indigenous people to revise their culture or norm that limit or make our violence to the indigenous women. We really want to do that also. Yeah, and also the very important thing is to do the internal awareness among indigenous people ourselves and to call for the social for support our issue also. Yeah, so this is the situation from Thailand that happened now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Me. It is so fascinating to hear and so hard to like your passion carries through the screen. So it's very hard to be a proper timekeeper here. But let me hand over to Woodeng now, who comes from DPA and who will tell us from another perspective in Cambodia as well. Thank you, Woodeng. You have 10 minutes.
Yes. So thank you. This is my presentation. So I would like to present about how the woman environmental defender shaping responsible investment. Especially we work with a mining company in the for target area in Cambodia, Ratchanakiri, Mondulkiri, Karachi, and Stung Treng province. So let me move to the environmental issues and land conflict to the next slide. Yes, this is actually happen in the ground level issues with the community. Mostly they are indigenous people. So after the company operating near the community land of we found that we find the illegal cases happen in the community, like forest land clear and for the land encroachment, overlapping and unclear the boundary. Indigenous people or community level, the boundary of the community, they don't have like a strong concrete wall or like a strong point like concrete point because like they use only the mark of the tree or the something traditional market that it is really limitation to protect the natural resource management in the community, and it is the chance that company have the opportunity to do the illegal logging and land encroachment. And the other company they try to extend the company boundary to the community land, and then it is one of the other issue like outside the community or outside the people, they will go to do the illegal case like illegal logging because in the community land they have a lot of type of the tree. And the other thing maybe you got some information from Carlo that he present about the uncover hole of the exploration company in Mondulkiri province, that it is really dangerous to the community and the community animal, especially for the children, that they can fall down into the hole. The hole you look like when you see the picture, sometimes maybe it is not like so dangerous, but it is not exactly because the hole is has been uncovered everywhere in the individual community farmland. And the other issue about the affecting on the community health, like a company using the community road. So there are a lot of issues on dust pollution and other security because the children they will use the road and they go to the school, something else. So a big car of the company will transport on the community road. So it is really dangerous and the more concern of the community. So this is activity and this is the issue will be effect on the climate crisis. Could you click one more? Okay. Climate crisis because I would like to point out like some key affecting that making having the climate crisis like deforestation, mining and resource extraction, land use change. It's I want to say like previously community or indigenous people, especially in the for target area, they use the traditional culture to do the agriculture, but nowadays they change their some using the chemical liquid, so that's why it also affecting on the climate change. And the other thing about the limitation of the natural resource management because like the some education barrier and some the gender norm happening in the indigenous people. Could you click one more? Yes, indigenous people. What we found another one point about the chance and limitation. In the decision making, women in the indigenous community, they feel like they ha- they has no space to voice out their concern, and then moreover about the opportunity to participate on the meeting or dialogue or to share about the decision making. And other thing, the community like husband or the other community, they feel like indigenous people, women, they she should has the obligation to taking care of her family, not involved with the natural resource management. So this is why out the limitation that group out the community to protect their natural resource, and then it is one out the chance that private company do the activity that affecting on environmental issue and land conflict without any compensation. So can we move to the other one case example? This is you got some information, so I just like to let you know about the size of the hole that company don't fill in after they finish the operation. Around 2 meter of the deep, and then size 1.5 meter and 1 meter. It is really dangerous to the community that I mentioned before. Could you click one more? One more. Okay. So that's why it is one of the issue that more of the community concern, and the step they do with the local authority and to engage with the local authority, the women environmental defender has mobilized the community member, and then they mobilize the local authority to verify the point of the hole that uncovered by the company at the real place, and then collecting those of the document, photo, video of the whole of the company, and then she keep all the of information, and then she comes up all the information to raise in the community or the community concern in the meeting with the local authority, like monthly commune council meeting, and then consultation meeting with the national level, with the Ministry of the Environment and Ministry of the Mine and Energy. So that's why in the finally we got the successfully sold by the company by having the dialogue meeting between the community, local authority, and private company representative. This dialogue meeting is really support from the local authority, because women environmental defender, she talk with the evidence base, and then she had the skill to talk in the constructive dialogue by don't having someone hurt. They know about the need of the community. Yes, so successfully the whole in the Dark Dam community that we work as the target area has been filled in by the company. And then really interesting one more about the company hire community member to fill in the hole by paid the money for them. Yes. And the other one
Wudang,
about the
you have 1 minute left.
two cases about the land boundary invasion and collapsing of the boundary wall of the community in protected area. This is the rubber company, and then the company breaking down about the a concrete wall of the community, and then the company invested into the land boundary of the community around 300 meter, and this is the lead by the community as well to solve this problem by the women environmental defender. She had the step to collect information, verify the issue with the local authority, and then share the concern in the safe space with the community until the finally community conduct the dialogue meeting between a community, local authority, and community and company representative. So finally, we got the successfully solved by the company fully agree to compensate to the company to 10 concrete wall and then return back out the land that company invested back to the community. And then the woman environmental defender, she not only think about it actually this issue, but she tries to engage the youth into the activity because she think that next generation they can know how to work with the company, they can know how to do the constructive dialogue as well. So it is one of the good example that using for the next generation. So move to the next slide. This is the lesson learned and recommendation from DPA because we work in the practically with the local with the women environmental defender and private sector. So we think that women environmental defenders really need more necessary skill to work with the private company to build on the natural resource management and legal framework. And other thing about the skill on public speaking and negotiation skill as well. And one more thing, I just have a quick remark about the small fund to the community and to the woman because she have really confident when she know like in the family she has like food security for their child, like we provided chicken and vegetable and to her. So it's the thing that like when she do then she attend the natural resource management activities, she's like, oh, I don't really need to care about the child because the child have food already. So it is really useful for the women environmental defender. Another thing about the space to support the women environmental defender to show their ability and to engage with the local authority. So this is the recommendation or the lesson learned that we would like to share. And then we found that some local authority like commune or villages, he really have the limitation to monitor and a limitation to know about the role to monitor how to company take the responsible for the business practice. So I think that support and promote engaging between power holder and right holder, it is one of the other key. And yes, so that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wudang. There is just a lot to share, isn't there? So I totally hear it. We are definitely behind. So my colleague Jude is our next speaker, and I've just asked her to kind of highlight the key points. The needs assessment will be shared after as well, so you will be able to kind of see more of the depth of what we learned. But over to you, Jude.
Brilliant. Thanks, Marika, and thanks to all our speakers. That's been really interesting, and I won't take too long so that we do have time for the Q&A at the end. But maybe just to say, as Empower was coming to an end, we wanted to do a kind of updated needs assessment to see what our partners and women environmental defenders were highlighting as their ongoing needs. I mean, we did this at the end of 2024, and it feels like increasingly relevant given the changing context and increasing politicization of funding for climate and gender projects, that it's increasingly important that funding is used in the most effective way and programs are designed to really respond to the needs that communities and women are identifying themselves. So as Marika said, that needs assessment will be shared with everyone following our webinar today, but maybe just to pull out a couple of key points and then you can take some time to reflect on it and read it kind of at your own leisure. But I think really, as we've heard today, gender, conflict, and climate are coming together in mutually reinforcing ways, and women experience environmental defense and conflict in different ways than their male counterparts. So it's essential that programming integrates those different elements. And what we have found effective is utilizing a peace building lens to do that so that women have skills to respond in a way that is effective and responsive to that. And I think maybe another important thing to highlight is what we also find is not only is women's experience gendered, but how women are able to respond to conflict and to find their role in environmental defense is also gendered. So women, as we've heard, at a local level and a national level, have found new ways to build coalitions, to come to agreements with local authorities and with private businesses. So it's really important to integrate this and provide a focus on gender. Maybe just another couple of key things that stood out. I think the issue of poverty, income generating opportunities, and also just the finances that enable women to participate in their environmental defense activities is really crucial. And in some of our recommendations that follow, what we have said is that women need supported to develop up climate resilient livelihoods that enable their participation in these activities, but also what we've really identified is that we think there is a need for collective livelihood opportunities that feed back into community environmental defences so that we can build the sustainability of these. If we can build that collective livelihoods model, then we can build back into this so that these environmental defence local groups, very, very local, have funding their activities. I think we would also say kind of that direct engagement with those in power, be that local authorities, businesses, key leaders, right up to the national level, focusing on that, building their capacity so they understand their responsibilities and establishing safe spaces for dialogue and to find shared resolutions is really critical. I think, and maybe just to say in terms of gender then as well, really integrating that the importance of working with men as part of a gender-based approach so that men are champions for women in all of this work. Maybe just come to the last slide. I suppose we have some specific recommendations for policymakers in the needs assessment, and you can take some time to work through those. But I think the importance of setting up programs that recognize the intersection of these issues in a gender transformative and conflict sensitive way is crucial. Developing local funding mechanisms and then working particularly with local communities and Indigenous communities through their networks and through consultation processes so that they have meaningful ways of integrating into decision-making processes. And my final point is just that I think one of the things that we find in Empower is the challenge of really influencing policy at that national level. So the need for targeted capacity building support to continue to build on that, to continue to find those entry points and those ways for women to do that is key. And I will wrap up there just to give space for some of the question and answers, but also if people want to have any follow-ups with us on the needs assessment and what we found, we would love that as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jude. That was super, super helpful. And I'm aware that we've run through a lot of topics and a lot of information that we've thrown out there. So I just wanted to give everyone a minute to just catch their breath. and maybe see if there's anything that kind of floated up there is of interest where you would like to learn more and hear more. I saw there was a question that came in on the lessons learned on best practices with women. And I think we kind of answered that in the presentation. So there's one thing I would love to start us off on for the Q&A, because I think what we're seeing is the local level, the wider level, the networks. That is really something that we see emerging, and there's a digital element to all of that. So I think my first question is, I'm going to chuck it at Carlos to just quickly tell us how the digital space has really shaped the way Indigenous women, environmental defenders, kind of organize themselves, communicate, and advocate. And are we seeing any risks that are emerging with these opportunities? And as Carlos is answering that, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section that is on the three dots next to the chat. And hopefully we can get to them in the next couple of minutes. Over to you, Carlos.
Thanks, Marika. It's a very good question about digital space because the landscape for advocacy and community mobilization has changed over the past years because of technology. Um, Although there's still some challenges in terms of access to technology in some of the locations where Empowered was implemented, there is a growing there's a growing use of digital technology now for our environmental defenders, but there's still the challenge in terms of women environmental defenders using technology, for example, access to smartphones, because most of the smartphones are being used by the husband and being only borrowed by the women in the family. But I think there's a lot of opportunities there. One is that uh, women environmental defenders and environmental defenders in general are using technology for resource. And by the way, Cord has working with DPA. Cord has a free, prior, and informed consent app, which includes resources of free, prior, informed consent and some other things. So maybe you could download that app. So you could use it as a resource as well. So that's number one. In terms of mobilization, I can see that there's a lot of community managed environmental groups. These are CFCs, for example, in Cambodia, village forestry land communities in Laos, watershed networks in Thailand, for example, are using technology in terms of mobilization for forest patrol. For example, they keep on talking using WhatsApp, for example, and other secured communication. But as peace building organization, we've developed also like communications between stakeholders, for example, authorities, private sector, and human rights defenders itself through our communities of practice. And as a result of the communities of practice we've developed, they develop a group chat, for example, which until now are still existing. So they were sharing some lessons learned from different provinces, for example, how did they settle these issues? So those kinds of things were sustainable in a way since we built that 2 or 3 years ago. So I think technology has a lot of potentials. Challenges, surveillance is still surveillance and targeting of particularly women environmental defenders in some countries are still there. With the advent of AI, there's a lot of issues now in terms of technology facilitated gender-based violence, for example. Deepfake is all over, hate speech as well for women environmental defenders. Misinformation and disinformation, they are still very common. But again, I think those are the opportunities and some challenges on that digital space. Marika?
Great. Thank you so much, Carlos. There's a lot in there, and I just saw that Projeng also put something and shared their research on it. So thank you so much for putting that link in there. That's really helpful for everyone here. We are coming towards the end of our session, and I would love to just go through every panelist for a quick spotlight and just invite your top lesson learned, just one, in under 1 minute that you could share with us where you're like, what have you really, if you distill everything down, what is the thing that really baffled or surprised you in this work, and that you would love to share with the world in the form of this webinar audience? And I'm going to start with me.
Yeah, one of the lessons learned that are about the women on the climate change is this, especially with the indigenous women, that we are holding deep traditional knowledge on the environment or the natural resource, who are preserve our stomachs, right? I would say, for example, the vegetable or the seed, the plant like that, including herbal medicine. So these kind of things are very important to involve the women in the very inclusive way. In order to do that, we had to really have the strong community to support the indigenous women. Not only the strong community to support, but even the women themselves, we have to really taking or have a safe place or healing about themselves who are facing the violation or even the trauma of the indigenous women, in order for them to able to stand up, to speak up about what they really need, how to include them. And also the other thing is about the good practice of that leading by the indigenous women, that visually thinking about this issue. And also with the leading of this implementing, we have to really sure that you also have some security fund for the indigenous women to direct have fund, and not only the fund that giving the short term, but the long term, provide them, support them, for them able to do something that are leading by themselves and able to enhance the capacity of themselves. The other thing is about we have to really to working together with the other community as the network, and also in the wider level, to have the network to help support each other. So in this case, the women will can have more area to sharing and learning about what happening with them. And the one thing that very important is this, the preparation for the readiness for women to see that what are happening to them, and in case something happening to them, what they can do, what they cannot do. So for the preparation for the readiness for the women is very, very important for indigenous people now. So yeah, with the limitation of time, so I will stop now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Me. And I love the long-term perspectivity on that one, to kind of just, we need to have the long view on this, isn't it? There's a lot of learning and unlearning. And I also love how you just bent my little rule of just sharing one and just went in there. Let me move forward. Wu Cheng, would you love to share your top takeaway, your lesson learned from this work that you would love to share?
Yeah, I would like to pick up one of the lesson learned that I think is maybe useful to share in here. So, when we work with women and men in the project, so and then we work in the advocacy activity and advocacy with the private company as well. So, the woman who is the person that has the experience on the facing the issue on the collecting non-timber forest product in the community land. And the other thing, women, indigenous people, she goes to the farm, and normally the children will come with the woman. So this is the very experience practical with the indigenous women. So this like this experience, women feel like she really has the different experience from the men. So along with the experience, women feel that some the gender norm it cover on the women participation as well. So we found that after the woman get equipped with the necessary skill and equipped with the some knowledge on the natural resource management framework, she really fit in the working with the private sector, because women have the source and the polite attitude and behavior, and when the woman talking, she has the insightful. And then the other thing, I think that women has the soft behavior, and then women can explain one by one, and then women can control her feeling as well when she's talking with the power holder, with the reasonable. I don't mean like men is not cannot do it, but the natural other women mostly like this. So when we equip with the woman, it is like uh fit with the what we provide, and then fit with the woman behavior as well. So until finally women can engage safety and effectively, and then finally nowadays women in the community get appreciate from her family, from her community, and some community change the mindset to accept the woman really effective on natural resource management and other things.
Jen,
Nowadays,
and I will need to interrupt you in a second. So one last sentence because
okay,
we're over time now.
okay, and another thing I would like to mention, women have a good skill in mobilizing community member to patrolling activity, which is really effective to natural resource management and so about the illegal cases. Yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I do love the passion that really carries through with every one of our speakers. I'm gonna give the last word to Jude to also just share a quick lesson learned, other things that stood out for her. But I also wanted to quickly give a shout out to everyone attending, but then also Lucy Godfrey has been working in the background, and we have a very special guest today who's Muni Toon, who is our project officer on this project, who's joining today, and a lot of the work really has been facilitated by him as well. So he deserves a lot. He deserves a shout out at this point as well. But over to you, Jude, to wrap it all up and come with
Okay.
the famous last word.
Thanks, Marika. I think I also want to thank all of the speakers today. I think the passion that you have for the work and the way I think that the Empower approach has been developed in different contexts and used in different ways to further kind of environmental protection and protection of Indigenous and women rights has been really inspiring. So I want to thank all of you. I think my key takeaways, I think it really does stand out to me the importance of taking this integrated lens when looking at these issues, because if we fail to do so, then we will miss an essential component of what is driving these issues in the communities that we're working in. So for me, that is central. I think the other thing that really stands out to me is the importance of the approach of that we've all been discussing about empowering women, giving them the confidence, the knowledge, and the skills, and then letting them go and advocate for what their own needs are. So if it's at that high national level in terms of the Indigenous Peoples Bill in Thailand, or if it is in local community negotiations with businesses. One of the things that we really saw in the project is the way that women in Cambodia were able to get specific safeguarding protections integrated into local commune laws or mandates to ensure their protection while they were doing these activities. So if women have the space and the confidence and the knowledge to advocate for their needs, they can ensure that those respond to their understanding of their needs rather than somebody else's outside understanding of what they need in that space. So I think those would be my final takeaways. And I think just I'd like to thank everybody for coming along today as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Jude. And yes, I think each one of our speakers would be very happy to have follow-up conversations on any of that. We will share some of the materials because I know it's been a lot that we shared. But yes, there is a richness, there's a ripple effect, and there is movement. And I think in all of the news that we keep hearing that are rather tainted and negative, we do see hope emerging in various different areas. And I think that's also something to really take away here, that there's something to be done, but there's also something that where we see movement and we see change. So thank you, everyone, particularly all our panelists. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'm so sorry that we're slightly over time, but I hope you've taken away a lot from this experience. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Me,
Bye.
Boteng, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.